I.S.U.P.K.
Because we have to know where and what to learn from and where to start. You need to know this one thing before we go into this whole article I'm about to bring out. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 16. Read what you got about it when you get it.
Ecclesiastes 12 and 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips.
Yeah, your enemy speaks sweetly with his lips. Don't the white man speak sweetly with his lips? He says, listen, man, God loves everybody. We do this, we do that. Come to my congregation. Listen, I'm gonna make laws, this and that, help black people when I get into the office. And what he does absolutely nothing. He makes laws and all types of things against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But it says what?
An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart.
In his what?
In his heart, he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit.
Yeah, he wants to throw us in the pit, man. He wants to throw blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians into a pit. That's all he ever thinks about, is how to destroy blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, man. But it starts by coming into our communities. Our communities is supposed to be for us. We supposed to be in our communities. We supposed to have our own banks, our own buses, our own train stations, our own airports, our own everything. And we did. But the problem with that is white people didn't want us to have our own stuff. Every time we went somewhere, guess what? They destroyed them, man. They blew them up or they flooded them. Look, some of your favorite places you like to go in the South used to be a black town. Do you know that? Some famous black towns are now lakes that you go and fish in, man. Go look it up. Go look it up. You think I'm lying? Go look up certain places in Alabama and South Carolina. There's famous lakes that used to be black towns. And guess what? White people got tired of seeing us prosper. Why?
An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee in a pit.
Yeah, he wants to throw us in the pit. That's why our homes and our businesses are all in pits now, man. Keep going.
He will weep with his eyes.
He will do what?
Weep with his eyes. But if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
Yeah, when he find opportunity, he won't be satisfied with blood. Listen, he gonna weep and do this and say, I'm not a man, I'm not a killer. I love everybody. Until you at your weakest point, and then what? He's looking for you. He's looking for blood, man. He's looking to kill you and annihilate you, man. But if I could write about it real quick, read this, right? We're gonna get into the article because I know we don't got that much time, right? So I want you to read this right here. Give me 1 second, right? Let me get it for the people. All right, read this. It don't have the title, but this right here is we're going to get into how white people and the civil rights and how segregation and all this started, right? Read what you got, Abir.
With the rise of the Cold War, federal officials in the United States sought to end the racial segregation that the U.S. Supreme Court had accepted in the 1896 decision of Plessy versus Ferguson. Although the reforms began with changes in the armed services.
Right, so right here is letting you know the first changes begin in the Army. The Army was the first place where segregation started, man. Where, you know what? Let's have some black people into the Army. You know why? Because they didn't want to kill their own people. They wanted to put us in the forefront. They wanted us to go out there and kill ourselves. They wanted us to leave our children, our wives behind. So guess what? It started in the Army first. Keep going.
Although the reforms began with changes in the armed services, they moved to reduce racial segregation in schools.
Right. So that's how it started. It started that, and then they wanted to lead it. Let's get them into the schools. They put us in their own schools. Why? Because they were scared that they were going to get bombed during the Cold War. Just like how right now when Russia is threatening to bomb America, listen, I'm telling you, they're going to start doing all types of things to make black people happy and then find you into the war. They want to bring you into the war. Don't be surprised that, listen, when the housing market drops, they're going to give away free houses to anybody who signs up for the next war that's to come. Well, having it closed? No sweat. It's like 1 second. There you go. Where you left off at.
They moved to reduce racial segregation in schools. In part, the impetus for the reforms was the recognition that communist agents pointed to racial discrimination and prejudice to show the rest of the world that the United States could not live up to its ideal of democracy.
Wait, you gotta slow that down about it for the people, because some people might not understand what you're saying. Read it again one more time.
In part, the impetus for the reforms was the recognition that communist agents pointed to racial discrimination.
So the communists pointed to racial discrimination against America, because they know America don't live up to its potential. They say America's for everybody. Anybody could come here and live, and you go, listen, ask anybody from any other place and tell them you from America. They think you the richest man on earth. They think it's the best thing to be in America. But the communists, the Russians, the Germans, they knew America was a false fallacy, man. They knew it was just false. And that's how they had to destroy it. By why? By showing them all the things that they wanted to bring together and make America great was a lie. Read it again, Abadja.
And prejudice to show the rest of the world that the United States could not live up to its ideal of democracy.
Right, so America preaches democracy. It says democracy is the greatest thing alive, but right here is letting you know that it's not. It falls apart. Keep going.
When federal agencies moved slowly, a public campaign to end racial segregation overtook the official efforts and pushed the federal government to speed up racial integration.
Right.
With the advent of urban riots and the fighting in Vietnam, public sentiment turned against efforts to bring about racial justice by 1969. At the same time, civil rights advocates such as Martin Luther King Jr. attended to the problems of war and poverty, thereby diminishing the fight against segregation. When the U.S. Supreme Court began to swing against desegregation in 1974 by forbidding the integration of urban and suburban school districts in Detroit, it satisfied northern families and thereby ended a drive the President's Committee on Civil Rights submitted its report in 1947 as the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union was beginning. In the report, the members recommended such measures as the elimination of racial segregation, the enactment of fair employment practices, and the end of restrictive covenants in housing deeds. To explain why the federal government should take these steps, the Commission's report warned that foreign diplomats reported communist agents using examples of mob violence, lynching, and discrimination to prove American democracy.
What?
To prove American democracy to be a fraud.
Be a fraud, man. So right here is letting you know that to prove everything to America to be a fraud, they showed how America did not want blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be with white people. So they're showing you right here their examples. Read the examples again, Abadja.
To explain why the federal... In the report, the members recommended such measures as the elimination of racial segregation, the enactment of fair employment practices...
The fail of what?
The enactment of fair employment practices.
Right, employment practices. Listen, unemployment is a failure in America, man.
Right.
A place where it's supposed to be abundance of jobs and everything is so great, it's a failure. Keep going.
Employment practices and the end of restrictive covenants in housing deeds. To explain why the federal government should take these steps, the Commission's report warned that foreign diplomats reported communist agents using examples of mob violence, lynching, and discrimination to prove American democracy to be a fraud. If the United States wanted other nations to stand with it in defense of freedom, the government had to find effective means of ending racial discrimination.
Right, so they had to find a way to end racial discrimination, man. So they had to scramble. Keep going.
Salakia. In addition to providing reasons for ending segregation and discrimination, the members of the President's Committee suggested there was no need to ask the U.S. Congress to create new legislation to reduce racial discrimination. Instead, the report noted that the U.S. Supreme Court could rule racial segregation to be illegal.
Yeah, listen, if you don't understand what this is, in a nutshell, is letting you know they did everything in their power to try to stop making America look like it's not racist, man.
Right.
And everything they did just made it racist.
Right.
Everything. They try to say, like, listen, come to school with white people. What happened? They're racist.
Right.
You go out there, come get jobs with us. What happens? They're racist on the job. Come to our parks. Come to our laundromats, our food stores. And they end up being racist.
Right.
White people, at the end of the day, end up being the most destructive beings on the face of the earth, man. Right. And they know that. But the problem is, they were trying to win the Cold War with bringing you in it. So the point I'm trying to bring all this together is that this war coming up, they don't want to die by themselves. They want you to die with them. They want blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to die right on the front line with them. Well, guess what? Black people ain't drop a bomb on nowhere.
Right.
The only person to ever drop a bomb on this planet is a white man. Right. He built it, and what was the first thing he did as soon as he built it? He dropped it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and guess what? Now they out there dancing in their pantyhoses. Because why? They don't know no better. But black people ain't do a damn thing. But that's why they want us in the army. That's why they want us to follow them. That's why they want us to be a part of their wicked ways. But this is the time when we need to be separate. We need to be segregated. We need to have our own businesses, our own laundromats, our food spots. Remember, Harlem used to be black. Now it's whitish.
Nobody tell you crack. You know why? Because I never saw you before. But you a black man like me. And it's worth something.
My whole life was trying to find something to follow. Had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed, so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to rhythm man blues, call this guitar smoke. Rebel with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bad liquor habit that's hereditary from oppression. Felt like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10 G's plus a good wreck. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good ship. Plus when you in hell, how do you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I don't believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain, something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord?